Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 1871 podcast with Johnny Hunt and Dylan Kerr. And yes, this is the final episode of the 1871 podcast. Although someone has pointed out that we've said this before, and then we came back into the third series. So who knows? We're going to leave the door open slightly to, potentially a couple of one-off episodes at some point in the future. Um, if myself, Johnny, and Dylan haven't spoken to each other for a while, we might just use it as an excuse to have a catch up. But it's the final episode of Series 3, and it could be the final ever episode of the 1871 podcast. But I'm going to talk a bit more about why it's going to be the final episode a bit later. But firstly, just want to talk about our live events that we're doing at the Purple Turtle. So we did one with Nicky Shorey weekend before last, and we had a brilliant Q&A with Adam Lafondra yesterday at the Purple Turtle. Brian McDermott came along as well. He got up on stage, had a really good chat with Adam about his time at Reading. And they even admitted they were both getting quite emotional thinking back to that time and the other stuff they were talking about. It was really, really good. And we had one person afterwards who sent me a message saying they met two of their heroes, Adam Lafondra and Brian McDermott, and it was the best day of their life. So, just for that reason, it was worth doing. And we've got the final live event, the live Q&A with Jem Karachan on Sunday at the Purple Turtle. So that starts at 1 o'clock. The doors open at 12. And Jem Karachan, as I'm sure you know, played for Reading the last time they were in the Premier League. And we are looking into doing some more live Q&A events in February. So Alex Pearce and Simon Church look like they'll be doing a joint one in February. Jamie Curitan and John Solarco is another possibility in February. And that's to be confirmed. And also, Nicky Shorey enjoyed it so much, he said, can I come back and do another one with my mate Glenn Little? So that could be fun. It'd probably be Glenn Little doing most of the talking. I'll only have to prepare two questions for that, I think, and just let those two talk. So that one's pretty much confirmed. We're looking at Sunday, February the 23rd, I think it is for that one. And Adam Lafondra said he really enjoyed it yesterday. He wants to do another one. So we're looking at doing one with Adam and potentially another player from the 2012 promotion side. And look, as a thank you to everyone who's listened to us, who's watched us on YouTube on the 1871 podcast since we started, we want to do a giveaway for some free guest passes for Sunday's Q&A event with Jem Karachan at the Purple Turtle. So if you'd like to come along, or if you know any Reading fans who want to come along, we've got some free guest passes for that event. And all you have to do, if you or anyone you know wants any guest passes for Sunday, just send a WhatsApp message to 07842 627 548. Mention the 1871 podcast, and you'll be on the guest list for Sunday. So the number to send a WhatsApp message to is 07842 627 548 if you'd like guest passes for Sunday's Q&A with Jem Karachan. So third series, and let's bring in our two co-hosts. So firstly, Johnny Hunt, hello.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, very, very good. Mixed emotions on this one, as you can imagine. And so another international episode. You got me in Uxbridge, so up the M40 stroke M4 from Reading. We've got Johnny Hunt in Ireland, and we've got Mr. Dylan Kerr, the one and only, out in South Africa. Hello, Dylan.
So, as you said, it's a tearful third time that we're going to be doing this last podcast. Yes, maybe. Yeah, I'm fine, pal. I've just been down on the beach today. It's been 31 degrees. It's been glorious sunshine, clear blue skies. And I've just watched one of the lifeguards rescue two local kids because they got carried away out in the Indian Ocean. It was quite comical, to be fair, because the waves were that big. He couldn't really get the boat out, so they had to go by a paddle boat. So, and even that was difficult. But I think he got there in the end. It took him a good 40 minutes. But I'm hoping. Well, I could see one of them. It was kind of making it back in towards the shoreline, but the other one was getting dragged out by the tide. So let's hope that with a bit of luck, he's okay. So yeah, so I'm just back from the beach.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for that. Let us know. And if any of you listening or watching want to know an update, get in touch, and we'll check back in with Dylan and see what happened there. So could be another episode coming up. Anyway, look,
Baywatch on the 1871
Yeah,
podcast.
I know. Were you in your red trunks, Dylan? Yeah, running on the beach.
I'm not sure our viewers are ready for that, but
getting your tattoos out. Anyway, but let's talk about this is the third series. So we've had Phil Parkinson, was great to have him on, but over the 3 series we've had some brilliant guests, including the likes of Steve Coppell, Brian McDermott, Adam Lafondra was a guest, Noel Hunt, Phil Parkinson, Kevin Doyle, Graham Murty, Jamie Curitan, Nicky Forster, Shaka Hislop, and loads more. But I want to ask you both, so you first, Johnny. What have you enjoyed about doing the 1871 podcast since we started?
Jeez, that's how to get a short answer for that one. I just think it's just been fun because it's just so unscripted, and we just go on with it and see where it goes.
We make stuff up as we go along.
Yeah, we make episodes up as we go along, and no, I just think it's been brilliant to just have Dylan with us as many times as he can, and then just being able to listen to the stories of football lives at Reading, which mean the world to us as fans, but to actually hear some of the guys get very emotional about their times and good and bad, and it's been a pleasure to be part of it, to listen. And I think we've let people talk. We haven't kind of told to take over, which I think has been the fun part of this. It's like it's they're the people we want to listen to, not us.
Yeah. And Dylan, how about you? What would you say you've enjoyed about it, if anything?
Missing Phil Parkinson's interview, but to be fair, I've not been sleeping well, so I should have listened to it in the pod. No, listen, it's always good to just have that banter with all the people that regularly listen to the podcast. It's a break from watching football, listening to football, and we actually talk about football. And obviously this year, or this latest one's mostly been about Reading's won't it be happening? And I see the latest reports, whether it's true or not. Roger Smith, is he trying to buy it? I don't know where that story's originated from, but I read that the other day.
He said it. He said that if the club goes into administration, he would be willing to get involved, but he said he can't do it unless the club goes into administration. So, as far as we know, that is accurate. But there's other stuff going on which we mentioned on the last episode, but I just want to ask you both now about favorite guest or favorite guests. Johnny, I know you quite enjoyed Tony Rougier being a guest, as he's one of your favorite Reading players, but who have been one or two of your favorite guests?
Yeah, I mean, he was, because my friend Jade, his hero, and the dog was named after him. So Rougie, that was a good one. To be honest, the Jamie Curitan's always, been so good to listen to. Mert, I don't want to alienate or upset any of them. In case we do a 4th series, might want them back. But like they're like, Jesus, so like Marcus in the USA talking to us, Adam when we was out in Oz, and Andy Bernal when he was out in Oz, and all the I could list so many, but having the opportunities to listen to Brian and Steve as managers and some of the coaching staff, that was a different insight. Even with John Fern from the physio point of view, it's Some of the stories and the different experiences have just been amazing, to take us back to different times and to have pleasure of talking to these guys. It is hard to narrow it down.
Yeah, and we've had guests who played for Reading going back to the 70s. We had Laurie Sanchez, we had Mike Kearney, Bob Leonard Dutsey, who I think was the first Canadian to play for Reading back to the 70s. We had a few of my heroes, Trevor Senior, Kevin Bremner, a few others. I'm talking about the 80s now, Dylan. I'm going to get to you, don't worry. Martin Hicks, the all-time greatest, number of appearances for Reading, more than 600. And then obviously the 90s team. So come to you, Dylan. Obviously,
you can't pick yourself, Dylan.
Yeah, you can pick yourself. That's fine. But look, we've had you on. You've kind of been sort of somewhere in between a co-host and a guest. So obviously we've heard a lot about your stuff in South Africa and and all that as well. So that's been great. But you've had a chance to catch up with quite a few of your former teammates, haven't you? Simon Osborne and Tom Jones and people like that, who have been some of your favourite guests.
Yeah, like I say, you can't. They've all, the ones that I've played with and been fortunate to, go out on nights out and have fun with, the memories that we have. I mean, there's a lot of memories that we can't share on a podcast. Into trouble, but yeah, I mean, it's great listening to all the stories. I remember when I've been trying to get Keith McPherson, I'm trying to get Jeff Hopkins, I've been trying to get Stephen Swales. I've been trying to obviously Big Nose Lambert. Now I'm going in touch with him, but and Scotty Taylor. Scotty Taylor would be a great one to have got hold of, but I don't know. That's the only one. I've asked Adi a few times to get his number, but he's never come through with it. So there might be a fall series because maybe one day, the likes of Macca and Oppo, Kev Dillon, Kev Dillon is such a shy, quiet person off the field. He was skeptical about, doing any podcast for any of his old clubs, which I fully understand. Doesn't want to talk about the past, but I say it's good to relive their memories. You see on Twitter, I mean, there was a clip the other day with Ozzy when he scored his goal against Oldham when he nutmegged the defender and then lobbed the goalkeeper. It's nice when old things like that happen and you see things, and it's good when, like I said, Johnny meets his heroes from the past when he was growing up watching.
Yeah, we did meet. I did meet you, Johnny, didn't I?
Yeah, Eventually.
Yeah.
Still haven't caught up with Dylan in person. He keeps avoiding me by staying out in Africa.
I know. We'll do that. So look, I just want to ask you both, and you've already answered this question, Dylan. You must be psychic or something. But I was going to ask you both about any guests that you would have liked to have had on that we haven't. So obviously you talked about a few there, Dylan. So for me, I would say it's probably Michael Gilks and Kerry Dixon. My dad was Kerry Dixon's agent, but I haven't got any contact details for him. I know someone that has, so I'm going to try and see if I can get back in touch with him anyway. But what about you, Johnny? Is there anyone that we haven't had on as a guest who you would have liked to have had on as a guest?
Well, I've asked Stephen Hunt, and he said he would, and he keeps ignoring me, so I've kind of given up. It would have been interesting. I'd like to have him and Noel and me on, have the three Hunts on together, but that would have been unusual. But the other one would be Darren Caskey, was obviously one of my favourite players. It'd be brilliant. And it would have been interesting to see Jamie Lambert as well, because he's one of those kind of talents that never kind of went as far as he could have from a footballing point of view.
Johnny, I would love to know the story. I would love to know what he thought and how he thought. And I mean, that kid was going to be bigger than Giggs. He was going to be bigger than Beckham. He'd got so much ability, and I would love. When I saw him recently, when the last time came to Reading, I saw him just out of the blue. I couldn't believe it. I've been trying to get hold of him for years, but that's one of the players. Obviously they're just one of them. I mean, like I said, Scotty Taylor. He's Scotty's he's just one in a million. And to play with that, you always get that kind of player in a football club where, he doesn't want to be a footballer. He's not bothered about being a footballer. He doesn't care about being a footballer. But he did something on the park. Then, like I said, there's Lee Nogan, there's Ray Ranson. I'd love to get Ray Ranson on and ask him why he gave me the best advice ever of never to buy a property in London because I'll never be able to sell it. There's loads of people. It'd be nice to get Steve Francis on. I didn't know. I've only met Steve a couple of times when he played for Huddersfield. When he'd left Reading and Shaka came. So I'd love to speak. I'd love to know where he's. There's loads of people. What a legend he was, and it's maybe we can do another one. You never know if we can get these people to open up.
What we might do, Dylan, is maybe next year at some point we'll round up a few of these people and we'll have a special one-off episode about what really went on at Utopia. That'd be a good one.
Jeez, that's after 9 o'clock at night then.
After midnight. Which was about right, wasn't it, for what went on at Utopia after midnight? So look, why is the 1871 podcast finishing? Well, when we started, we started it to coincide with the 150th anniversary celebrations, and I never wanted it to be this is what happened on Saturday type of podcast. It was never intended as that type of podcast. It was all about the guests, really. Obviously, great to speak to you both, Johnny and Dylan, but the idea was to get the guests on, reminisce about their time at Reading, and then of course once they've been on, you can't then get them on to talk about all that stuff again. So I think we had Brian McDermott was on as a guest talking about his time at Reading, and then he came back on and there was a theme to that podcast about his recovery from alcohol addiction. So that was really good, and we have had some players that have come on more than once, so that's been great. John Solarco recently. So we're going to move towards the live events. So we've just had the event with one of Reading's greatest ever left backs, Nicky Shorey. Only one of them, not necessarily the best. So that was great to see him part of the 106 team. And then Sunday was fantastic. Adam Lafondra. It was the Adam Lafondra Q&A, but Brian McDermott was there. Brian got up on stage. Adam was talking about a punch up between Alex Pearce and Royston Drenth, and a load of funny stories. It was really, really good. And we're focusing on trying to do these as live events now. And the great thing about that is you've got a Q&A, so it's about 45 minutes. So I ask some questions about their time at Reading. And then we have an audience Q&A, and you never know what the audience is going to ask. But there's a lot of really funny stories that comes out in that. And then that you've got obviously a live audience there, and they get to meet the player, photos, signing shirts, all that sort of thing. So yesterday's event was fantastic, and we've got the one with Jem Karachan. So look, if you do want to come along to that, if you want the free guest passes, just do a rewind to the bit where I gave out the phone number. In fact, I'll do it again so you don't have to. So if you do want to come along, or if you know anyone else that wants to come along and you want some free guest passes to the Jem Karachan Q&A on Sunday, just send a WhatsApp message to 07842 627 548 and mention the 1871 podcast. So we're looking at doing some more events in February as well. So it'd be nice maybe to get players from the 80s, 90s, more players from the 106 team, more players from the 2012 promotion team. So we've got a few lined up in February. So we're moving towards that. I'm doing some other stuff as well. and let's go on and talk a bit about Reading. So we won't get into the details. We went over that a bit last time in terms of the ownership situation, and obviously Reading are doing quite well on the pitch. But I just want to ask you both, and I only want a yes or no answer from both of you. So you first, Johnny. Prediction: will Reading have a new owner by the end of the season? Yes or no? Go.
Yes.
Dylan.
No.
Yes. Will Reading have a
No.
new owner? No, you're saying no.
No. No.
I'm saying I have no idea. So, Dylan, just tell us why. Why do you think no?
The chairman wants he wants to get as much money as he can back from any investor, and as long as Reading keep performing and getting 3 points, then that's going to help. But I just don't think he's willing to give away his majority or his stakeholder for less than he wants. So unless somebody's going to come in with an absolute crazy offer, I think it's just going to drag on, and God help after January if they can't strengthen the side, it's going to be difficult for Reading, and we don't want to see that. But I just can't see anything changing.
Well, look, it's an interesting one there because let's say Reading have been in the playoff positions already so far this season. Let's say Reading get in the playoffs and we actually win a playoff final at Wembley and go back up to the Championship. Suddenly the club's worth more money, isn't it? So I don't know if he's thinking along those lines, but anyway, let's see. So Johnny is optimistic that we'll have a new owner. Dylan doesn't think we will do by the end of the season. This is, and look, I have no idea, so I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. But let's have a chat about you, Dylan. You've been looking for a new role. You went back out to South Africa. You had a role out there briefly. You've got a visa come through to work in the USA, so you're actually looking to work out there now. Anything in the pipeline for you?
Well, I've had a job for a year, and the position.
Is it scouting you've been doing?
No, it was actually director of coaching for a company called Super Soccer Stars. But at the moment, finally 9 months after the application and the visa was successful, to get it stamped, it came last week. So it's been an emotional 9 months. Yes, I came back to South Africa to help my old team. It didn't work. I didn't come back for that reason. I came back in essence just to wait for this visa, whether I was going to get it or wasn't going to get it. It was 50-50. I made a mishap a few years ago. Well, nearly 20 years ago.
Is that because they found out what you did in Utopia?
I will never get in any country if they find out what we got up to in Utopia. And it's been a long time coming. But honestly, when I got the visa, it was just a long time coming. So spoke to the company last week. The goalposts have changed with the job that I had because it's been taken by somebody else. So I'm actually speaking to the owner later this evening. He's in LA times at the moment, so I think they're about 9 hours behind what we are in South Africa. So I'm just going to speak to him, get the logistics. My passport is in London at the US Embassy, waiting to get the visa stamped in the passport. Then as soon as I get that, then we'll see where we are. And if I'm lucky enough to go before Christmas, great. But if not, then I'm going to come over Christmas, spend it in the UK, and then hopefully start the new job in the new year. But it's been a difficult 18 months. Remember, I came back to England. I've tried to get back into English football. Yes, I did some opposition analysis for Parky. Went really, really well. And unfortunately, there wasn't really a full-time position there at Wrexham. So I actually came back more for my mental health to South Africa. And it's been good. I've been mentally very, very healthy, physically healthy. And now I've got the visa. Now I can start to plan for the future. So That'll as soon as I get my passport back, then obviously when I speak to this club owner today, see what the new position is and where I'll be based. Hopefully we'll forge a pathway to hopefully a long and successful opportunity in America.
Well, we wish you luck with that, and if all else fails, based on your story early, you could go along to the local lifeguard place, and put your red speedos on, and say you want to help out there. That'd be good, and send us some pictures. We'll share those on social media.
The ones that we can share, Dylan. Just to clarify.
wish you luck with that, Dylan. And look,
yeah, best of luck, Dylan.
I just want to.
Don't want to see.
Go on, sorry.
Don't want to see me in a pair of budgie smugglers. Well, to be fair, I'm not too bad down there.
All right.
Well, I think that's probably a good way to end the series.
That's for a whole different type of podcast. That is.
Dylan Kerr's budgie smugglers. There we go.
Yeah, that's the new podcast coming up. Anyway, look, wish you well with that, Dylan. And I just want to mention Alex Blissett, because throughout the 1871 podcast, Alex has been our super fan. So a special honorary mention to Alex. So listen, thanks to everyone who's listened in, watched us on YouTube. Thanks to Alex, thanks to everyone else. And wanted to say thank you to you both, because you've given up your time, and we're all Reading fans. Dylan's a sort of honorary Reading fan from Yorkshire, who player of the season, got promotion, was cheering on the crowd at Wembley in the playoff final when he wasn't in the side. So a proper Reading legend, Dylan Kerr, my lord. And yeah, it's just been fantastic to speak to you both on a regular basis, even though we've had time off in between episodes. So I want to particularly thank you both. Really, really appreciate it, and thank you to to everyone who's listened to us on podcast, on any other of the podcast platforms, and watched us on YouTube. And just want to say thank you to both of you, and to everyone who's been part of the 1871 podcast. So that's it. And who knows, maybe we'll have the Utopia episode, maybe we'll have the Dylan Kerr budgie smugglers episode. Who knows? But for now, that's it. So just want to say thank you, and been great to do this podcast, and some fantastic guests, and just enjoyed talking and reminiscing about Reading, really. So thank you to both of you.
It's been a pleasure.
No, and look, on behalf of me and Johnny, we'll both say, listen, thank you, Mark. Yeah. Without you, it wouldn't all be put together.
Yeah.
We're just lucky to be the ones that enjoy having the chat, enjoy I see old faces, Johnny meets and speaks to his heroes, and that's what it's all about. And we give.
And you do the hard work, Mark.
We give it.
Sorry?
You do the hard work. We didn't just talk.
Yeah, I do the work. Yeah, you just turn up.
Yeah, that's it.
Button. He presses and start recording now. That's it. What else does he need
to
do?
Yeah, that's basically it. And just chat. And and pretty much we've made it up as we go along. But like Johnny said, it's been unscripted. I have some notes, which is why you see me looking over there sometimes. But yeah, for the most part, it's unscripted. But I'm enjoying doing these live events, and let's do one with you, Dylan, and someone else from your team there. Maybe you and Shaka. That'd be a good one. Maybe
we could do
maybe you and Jimmy Quinn. That'd be a good one.
We could do a live one. Three of us do a live one day.
We could do the three of us do a live one. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there. As I say, thank you to you both. Thank you to everyone who's listened and watched. Really, really enjoyed it. We've been going since the start of 2022. So we've had loads of episodes, loads of great guests, and been an absolute pleasure. So thank you and goodbye.